Hello class, in this video I will be going through the course and project overview information here on Blackboard. It's quite comprehensive, but it's very important for you to understand early on what to expect with this course, how it will be structured, and what you will be doing throughout the semester. First thing to note here is that this information is called the course and project overview. Rather than there being two separate things of course information and project information, for this class, it basically just is one big project you're going to be working on. So the two are pretty much the same. So the course and the project are both one big semester-long experience that you're going to have where you will be creating your own self-directed portfolio piece based on your multimedia skills. The first thing here is the project brief, right? So rather than going through all of the course outline and stuff like that with a bunch of information that may not seem super relevant to you right now, I'm just going to go right into it with the project brief. This gets you an idea of what you'll be doing this semester in the course. We click on it, and here we are, MMDD 232 project brief. Overview. You are a multimedia designer hired by Humber Polytechnic for a remote work opportunity to create a portfolio project that demonstrates and builds upon the skills you've learned in the MMDD program. This project will be featured in your portfolio to help you launch your desired career path. Right now, you're in this third semester here in the MMDD program. This project, as well as the subsequent course, Emerging Multimedia Practice 2, you'll also be creating a similar portfolio project in that class. These projects are very important for you to have in your portfolio because this is an opportunity for you to really start to focus your interests and create work that you can show potential employers to get you on the sort of career path that you would like to get on. This project must, here are the sort of requirements for the project itself. It must explore a skill or technology beyond previous course projects. It must be relevant to your personal interests. It must contribute to your career direction, and it must be developed in a self-directed manner. So I'll just talk a little bit about each of these bullet points here. It must explore a skill or technology beyond previous course projects so that it ensures that you are expanding your skills, right? Exploring new territory, new tools, new methods to ensure that this is a learning experience for you as a designer. And it's not just repetition of things you've already done before, things you already know how to do well, right? This is meant to be a project that stretches your abilities, gets you to learn new things. Self-directed learning, right? It must be relevant to your personal interests. This is very important to me because since you're going to be proposing your own project in this class, I'm not going to be telling you, okay, you have to make this project, you have to do these 5 things, da 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 da. That's for you to determine and propose, and there's going to be a structure that you do that, that you use to do that. But it's important for this project to be relevant to your personal interests so that you're actually motivated to work on it. I find that if you're working on a project that isn't tied to something you're actually interested in, that sort of gets at your inner fulfillment, then it's going to feel a lot more like something you're just having to force yourself to complete for school. This is an opportunity for you to take your interests, put them in with your skills you're learning in this multimedia development and design program. I mixed up the D's there, but it's fine. Take your interests, take the skills you're developing. How can those things be combined, right? Maybe you really like streetwear and you're into UI UX design. Well, let's make a streetwear website for this class, right? I say let's make, but that means you make. So that's why it's very important for you to think about, okay, what are you interested in this world in your life? And how can you take your multimedia skills you're developing to combine them with your interests to create something for this class, for your portfolio, for your life and career. And so here it says, right, this must contribute to your career direction just to ensure that what you make in this class will be something that you will put in your portfolio that will demonstrate your skills, demonstrate who you are as a designer, as a developer, to help you on the path that you most would like to go on. And career direction doesn't have to mean a specific job at some big company or something like that, right? Say that you want to be a YouTuber or something like that. If your career direction is becoming a content creator and doing that sort of thing, then you can use this project to contribute to that direction, right? This is an opportunity for you to use time dedicated for a class to create a project that is worthwhile for you, right? So really try to make use of this opportunity because it's often the case, especially once you're outside of school, that working on projects that are like this, it's much harder to find time. So kind of forcing you to have time right now to get course credit to make a project like this. And finally, the project must be developed in a self-directed manner. That's very important for this class. Something else is that up here it says it's a remote work opportunity. Something I'm doing with this class is to really help you develop your skills as a remote worker. That's something that is more common now than it was, especially 5 years ago. It's something that I think people also have more interest in doing, right? You being in this program, maybe it's because you don't want to be in an office every day. Maybe you do. That's perfectly fine. But this is still an opportunity for you to develop your skills as a remote worker, which requires a lot of self-discipline, a lot of planning, preparation, motivation, a lot of things that you may not quite, well, you're probably familiar with homework and things you've done already in school. But it's very important that you take this project seriously as an opportunity to develop these skills, because if you succeed with these projects as a self-directed learner, as a remote worker, then that's something you can really highlight in your job applications and your cover letters and things like that, to try and have that kind of work setup if that's what you would desire, right? If you want to have a remote work situation, then now's the time to develop those skills so that you already are prepared to enter that kind of position. And you can also sell yourself to potential employers and say, look, I proposed and developed this project on my own. Yes, there was supervision from my professor, but it was a largely self-directed experience. I did all of the project work remotely. I kept up with all the deadlines. Like, that's very, very important. And that's really what people will be looking for after you graduate this program. If you want to get into a remote work opportunity and you couldn't maintain deadlines, you didn't follow a schedule with your project work, like, that's not going to be, you're not going to get that position most likely because you can't demonstrate those skills. So consider this as an opportunity to really develop those things as a designer. Your project may not, okay, now I'm getting into this. It may not double dip with another course project. Students are always like, okay, in my other class, I'm building a portfolio website, or I'm doing XYZ, so I'll just say for this class, I'm doing the same project. No, this is meant to be its own dedicated project, its own dedicated experience that you create for this class. So keep that in mind. And it should not be a reproduction of a previous course project as well. So you can't say, okay, well, in this class, I made this thing, so I'm just going to make another one of those, right? Once again, it gets with this idea of making sure you're kind of expanding yourself. That doesn't mean that the project can't overlap with some of the themes or general idea of projects you've worked on before, but they shouldn't be replication of it. They should definitely expand upon those things and become something more substantial and different and new. This project will simulate a remote work freelancer-client relationship where you will provide timesheets tracking your hours on the project. These timesheets will be submitted bi-weekly via Blackboard with evidence of your work completed. So there's going to be submission boxes or whatever on Blackboard every other week, starting with week 3. So 3, 5, 7, and onward. No, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5. Yes, 3, 5, 7. Sorry. So every 2 weeks, basically, you're going to submit a timesheet saying, these are the tasks that I did for my project. These are the tasks I did for the course. Here's attached work showing that I did this thing. Here's how long each of these tasks took. Here's the total hours that are in this timesheet and the total hours I've worked in this project so far. This is meant to keep you on track, as well as for me to get just a quick look at where things are going with your project. I've done this course many times. I've done all kinds of different ways of trying to get students to stay on track. It seems to be the only thing that actually forces students to do so is more deadlines and more submissions. So it might seem like there's a lot of submissions in this class. Unfortunately, that is there to force you to maintain progress in your project so that you don't end up falling behind, right? Your final submission will be presented and showcased on Behance as part of your creative portfolio. So once again, the final output of this class isn't just going to be something you submit on Blackboard and then that's it. This is going to be something that you put on your professional portfolio, that you share on your professional networks, that you use when you're applying to your internship work placement thing, as well as opportunities beyond when you graduate here, right? This is meant to be an important project for you to really cultivate yourself as a designer. Your project is broken up into the following key stages. Stage 1, you'll propose and plan your project. So you'll research project directions, then propose and create a timeline for the project you will complete this semester. Stage 2 is the pre-production stage. You will get your creative ideas out and develop a framework for your production stage. Examples of pre-production work include mood boards, sketches, storyboards, prototypes, etc. Then you'll enter the production phase. You'll start developing your final assets using the basis of work from the pre-production stage. So, you have storyboards from pre-production. So now in production, you start actually creating those things in After Effects or whatever you're using. And then stage 4 is when you finalize and deliver. You will complete any final tweaks in your work to ensure it's professionally completed. Then compile and share a case study detailing your project this semester. That's what you'll put together on Behance. That's what will be shared publicly. That's what the really main output you get out of this class is. Yes, of course, you get course credit, but more importantly, I think you get a strong project to put in your portfolio to really help you get on the path in life that you're trying to get out of this program. The course format. This is an online course, as you can see right here with this video, with combinations of asynchronous, which you again see with this video, as well as synchronous delivery. It's formatted to develop your skills as a remote worker, because as a remote worker, you're going to kind of have to be jumping around doing various things from time to time. So the asynchronous activities, mostly this course is asynchronous, okay? Because you're going to be working on this project. You're going to be using course time to really develop your project and what you're learning and what you're having to work on for it. But there's also things like these videos for you to watch, right? And other information that will come on Blackboard and other activities for you to complete. But asynchronous activities you complete on your own, which includes watching course videos like this, content on Blackboard, and your project work, right? So your project work for this class is you doing the class, right? So that's what it's important for you to understand. So, you have 3 hours dedicated in your schedule every Monday for this course. So if that time isn't being used for a synchronous thing when you're meeting with me or something, then you should be using that time to work on this project. Yes, you have the freedom, since this is asynchronous with your project work, to work on your project elsewhere throughout the week. However, what you don't want to do is not use that time on Monday effectively, and then you run out of time as the week goes on, and then you don't end up getting any project work done. So I think it's very important for you to set aside a weekly time to be working on your project. And guess what? That time is already kind of predetermined for you because it's in your course schedule. So that's what I'm expecting from you, is that time will be used for this class. Synchronous activities require you to be in online meetings at key times. These include meetings with your supervisor, that's me. There's 2 of those throughout the semester, as well as meetings with your remote teams. There's 2 of those this semester as well. So you're in a remote team for this course. That's basically classmates, coworkers, I'm trying to think of a better word to say it, collaborators, people that you're going to be connected with throughout this class to have questions, if answer questions, discuss with them, connect with them, talk about the projects that you're doing. And there's going to be 2 sort of required times for you and your remote team to meet, either online or in person. You have to organize that as a team on your own. And in that meeting, y'all will share each other's work. You'll share your work with one another. You will complete feedback forms for one another and submit those. And you have to include with those proof that you actually met, right? So it's very important that you do actually meet with your remote teams. This is a lot of information for down the road, but just know that the synchronous things that are going to happen for this class are meeting with me, which they're going to be quick meetings individually, one-on-one with each individual student. So you won't be in the online class for all 3 hours or something like that. You'll just come in during the time you're assigned to meet with me. And then your remote teams, you kind of figure that out with your team when you're assigned to complete one of those activities. But that is a synchronous thing because you're having to be available with other people at the same time. Weekly announcements detailing your expected work will come out at the start of each week. It's very important for you to read those announcements. That will keep you on track. That will make everything clearer for you. Sometimes in those announcements, I might also put a video in there going over some updates to Blackboard and things like that. So very important to the start of each week that you look at those announcements. That's what gets you, reminds you what's happening week to week in the class, because it can be very easy to forget or fall off, or you have 15 other classes and 10 different projects you're working on. So you got to stay focused. You got to stay organized with this stuff. Tips for success. Read weekly announcements thoroughly at the start of each week. I just said that, as they will detail key information about the work. Very important. Access the course reference page for clarification about aspects of the course and project. And if your question isn't addressed there, you can reach out to me via Blackboard Messenger. You could also reach out to one of your remote team members. The course reference page, if you click on it here, and it's linked in a few different places on Blackboard, it's sort of like a tome Basically, if you have this thing on the left, this outline thing opened, you can actually see, okay, I have questions about what's going on with the submission process, right? So then it tells you what to expect with the submission process, right? Oh, what's my project timeline again, right? So this is just a reference document. I'm not going to go through every single thing on here right now, especially because some of these things won't even come up until a bit later in the course, but it is here for you to access at any time with questions that you may have. Organize your work time each week to maintain development on your project and not fall off track. Very, 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 very important for you to do that. That's the main issue, the main difficulty students have with this class. And it being online and asynchronous and all that kind of stuff makes that a greater challenge. But that's why it's a challenge, right? So it's an opportunity for you to grow and succeed. And also propose a project that you will enjoy working on. This course is meant to be a creative exploration for you. So take advantage of it, right? If you have in the back of your mind, I always wanted to do this creative thing. I don't know, I wanted to open an Etsy store or something. Like, you can use this class to do that thing. As long as you can tie it into somehow saying, well, okay, this Etsy store is connected to my career because I want to start my own brand to make jam or whatever it is you're doing. Like, this is an opportunity for you to do that, okay? But you really have to think hard about it, reflect, think about what will you like working on for a whole semester, okay? Don't just do the most basic, easy, boring thing. Unless you like that, right? That's perfectly fine if you like that. But I encourage you to do something that really gets you right here in your soul, believe it or not. You have one. It's in there. So that's the project brief. A lot of information. If you have questions, course reference page or Blackboard Messenger, you'll see that that's my preferred way for you to contact me. This is just another link on Blackboard to the exact same course reference page I just clicked on. So like I said, there's links all around for this thing. So it's there for you to reference. If you notice any inconsistencies or issues or typos or anything, also please let me know, because some of these materials are Frankenstein together from previous times I've taught the class. So I have to make sure it's all updated for this time around. So if you see anything there, please let me know. Course outline and critical path. This is the kind of more basic things that your classes have. This is the course outline. I'm just clicking on it to show you it exists. Really, I feel like doing a video talking through this whole thing, I don't know how helpful that would be. So the project brief is really meant to get things a bit clearer and more direct for you. So you're more than welcome to read through all of this official information about the course and your learning outcomes. And these are all the things you'll be assessed on. This is probably important for you, but these are all just connected to various submissions throughout the course, right? If you have any specific questions about any of these things, you can let me know. But, you know, you need to be professional and timely. You need to develop your remote work fundamentals. You'll develop a project proposal and plan. There will be check-ins with process documentation for your project work. There's a grand final submission. You'll do a professional development activity, and you'll do peer feedback. Okay, so I could, tell you everything about all these things right now, but that's going to be a lot of information. So I'm really trying to focus on what's most important for you to know right now, and then I will continue to give you important information as it comes up. Like I said, feel free to have fun looking all through this course outline and let me know any questions you might have. The critical path, a bit more important possibly, or just a bit more pressing. I don't know, there's a word that I can't find here. So this is a sort of visual critical path right here, MMDD 232. The way that I have this broken down, you'll see, here's weeks 1 through 7. If I scroll down, here's weeks 8 through 14. This is the first half of the semester. Then there's reading week. This is the second half of the semester. Okay, this keeps things nice and clean. You will notice with each week it's associated with a particular stage of the project, right? So stage 1, this occurs during weeks 1 through 3. Stage 2 occurs during weeks 4 through 7. Stage 3, 8 through 11. Stage 4, 12 to 14. This is the current plan, but of course critical paths are always subject to change. But this is the current template, plan, etc. for the class right now. So for the first 3 weeks of the course, you're going to be doing course review. That's what you're doing right now watching this video. Hello, great to see you. You will also be researching and planning your project, okay? There is a course review quiz I'm going to talk about at the end of this video that you will need to take to actually unlock your submission in the class. You're actually your stage 1 sort of information thing. So you have to actually take that review quiz and get 100% in order to proceed, which I know you can do it, okay? It's just to ensure that you actually know what's happening with this class. Week 3, stage 1 is due. That'll be your proposal and your plan. There's going to be a video telling you all about that. Isn't that great? I can just say that there's going to be another video of me talking about that, so we don't have to talk about it all right now. Okay, I'm talking kind of fast here now. Okay, so stage 1, research and plan, weeks 1 through 3. There you go. Stage 2, pre-production. Okay, there's going to be meetings with me during this stage, as well as in week 3. You'll see week 3 through 5, there's supervisor meetings. Information will be revealed about that, okay? I promise. In stage 2, you'll be doing pre-production work during weeks 4 through 7. One of such things is a remote work foundations LinkedIn learning course that will be available on Blackboard for you to take and complete. Takes like an hour or 2 hours. That is for you to develop good remote work habits. Okay, so you're going to complete that while you're doing your pre-production work. You're doing sketches, you're doing mood boards, you're doing scripts, you're doing storyboards, all the grand old things. Since this class, since the multimedia, the MMDD program is so vast, there's no telling what your pre-production work might be, right? A UI UX designer's pre-production work will be different than a motion designer's, but you'll still be getting your ideas out there, right? Building frameworks for what you're going to end up creating, okay? When you meet with me, you'll take notes, you'll submit those. It's really not a big deal. Stage 2, part 1. This will be the initial submission of your pre-production work happens in week 5, and then a second submission of your pre-production work happens in week 7, right? And then there's going to be peer feedback in week 6. So there is kind of things happening week to week, and so it might seem very overwhelming at first. But I promise, if you keep things organized, it will be okay. You will be able to do it. You will succeed. You'll have a great time. So, and then we go on to the next half of the semester, and I'll probably do another big refresh video at that point in time just to kind of see what's going on at that point. But yeah, I'll have your production work due in 2 parts. You'll have a professional development activity due. You'll meet with me again, and you'll meet with your remote team again for feedback, and then you'll submit your final project. Okay, so. And your final project is due at the end of week 13. All right, you might think it's due the very last second of the whole semester, but it's actually due at the end of week 13. So keep that in mind, okay? Any questions about the critical path, let me know. But like I said, each week I will be giving you an announcement that kind of breaks down what's happening. So that will be very helpful for you. But this is also good for you to see things in a full scale, especially to see how this course is broken into the stages of your project. Okay. Evaluation, SAT, UNSAT. This video is covering a lot of stuff here, folks. So now we're getting into the evaluation of the course, or how you will be evaluated, how your work will be evaluated, okay? This project and course is evaluated as a SAT, UNSAT, or pass-fail experience, rather than a traditional grading system, A, B, C, 98, 92, 86, 32. This is to allow for more diversity of projects and to ensure you're making satisfactory project on your project at all times. Each biweekly submission will list key deliverables for you to complete and submit. You must receive a SAT evaluation for each requested deliverable to receive a SAT on the submission. If anything receives an UNSAT evaluation, you will receive an UNSAT for the submission and have one opportunity to resubmit for evaluation. How about just getting a SAT the first time? I believe in you. All submissions must receive a SAT to pass the course. Okay, so you can't just not submit something at some point and say, well, I got SAT on everything else and then still pass. No, you have to do everything on time. It's possible. For example, in your stage 1 submission, you may receive a SAT for your project plan, but an UNSAT for your project timeline. You'd have 1 week from receiving that evaluation to then resubmit the timeline. Okay, so I don't encourage you to intentionally submit things that are not complete or something, and you're going to say, well, I'll just receive an UNSAT and then have another week to do it. That doesn't help anyone, right? Also doesn't help you build professional habits. So getting you working on time, receiving is satisfactory. That's just to ensure things are moving along smoothly, okay? All late submissions are an automatic UNSAT, and you will have 1 week from the submission due date to submit within an accompanying late waiver. So you can submit things 1 week late. However, you have to use this thing called a late waiver, which you may use 2 throughout the semester, okay? So you have 2 opportunities to excuse late work up to a week, All right. But look at this. You have to say, is this the first or second waiver that you've done? Okay. If it's the second, that's the last one. No more. Anything after that, UNSAT for the class. Okay. Nothing can be late after 2 late waivers. You have to detail which of the following remote work skills were you lacking that led to the late submission. Something happened. Why is it late? You don't have to give me the whole grand epic poem story about whatever's going on, but something happened, right? So is it that you lacked motivation to complete it on time? You didn't manage your time effectively. That's a classic one. You didn't communicate effectively, right? So you have to kind of reflect for yourself, okay, why is this late? And then explain how you will make sure to complete and submit work on time in the future so that you won't have to use another one of these waivers, and then sign with your name below. This is the approach to late submissions in the class, okay? So you have 2 opportunities to submit late work, basically. And then, like I said, after that, no more. The following will lead to a successful project, a SAT in the course. Submitting your work on time in the correct format with all requested deliverables, right? Complete submissions. Maintaining 6 to 12 hours of demonstrated work on each timesheet. 3 to 6 hours per week of the course, right? This class is 3 hours dedicated in your schedule each week. So you should at the very least be using 3 hours of your week to work on your project. And then when you're listing the tasks that you completed, when you're submitting your work, you're going to say, okay, I spent 2 hours doing storyboard development. I spent 1 hour doing this tutorial on this effect or whatever it is, right? So keep track of your learning, keep track of your project work. That's for you to know that you're spending enough time on this project, also for me to see that reflected in your work, right? You need to arrive at supervisor meetings on time and prepared. That's extremely important for your professionalism, okay? You don't want to be arriving late. You don't want to miss meetings. It's no good. Arrive at remote team meetings on time and prepared as well, right? That's your colleagues. You need to also be respectful of them, okay? It's very important skills for you to develop. The following will lead to you being taken off the project, UNSAT in the course, no more. So if you have more than 2 late submissions, right, and you use the late waivers, on the 3rd submission that's late, done with the course, UNSAT overall, project terminated, all right? That's to simulate a working scenario where if you're working on a project with a client, with a supervisor, they're expecting you to meet certain deadlines, okay? You miss 1 deadline, all right, fine, it's a pass. You missed 2 deadlines, things are getting a little shaky. You missed the 3rd, off the project. Because guess what? Someone else can come in there and actually do it on time. All right? Hate to say it, but it's true. Missing supervisor meetings with no prior communication, arriving late, or being unprepared. Just communicate with me, right? If the day before you can't make it to a meeting, tell me. Don't just not show up. Because then I'm going to sit there for 10, 15 minutes saying, "Donde está? Where is he?" Right? Missing remote team meetings. That's not good for your colleagues, right? Because they need you there as well. Everyone needs to be there. So don't miss those. And your overall project work, if it's under 42 demonstrated hours, that means that you didn't even do the minimum amount of time for this project for the course, right? 3 hours a week, 14 weeks of the semester. Yes, I know that there's holidays and things like that, but we're just going to say 14 weeks. That's the total. You're being given credit for 14 weeks of class. So you should do at least 42 hours of demonstrated work on your project, okay? That ensures that you are getting a full substantial piece out of this. Instructor contact info. This is me. I'm your professor. Haven't even said that yet, but that's me, Chris Rollendorf. Preferred contact, Blackboard messages. I really like Blackboard messages because it keeps things contained to the course. Keeps things organized, and if we just have a thread on Blackboard messages, then anytime you have a question, just go back to a previous thing you sent me on there and it can stay going. Sometimes students will send me a question, I'll respond, then they'll start a whole new conversation with me on Blackboard Messenger, and it's like, no, it can all stay in one thread. Then we can have the whole semester conversation there at once. That's very good, very organized. It's good to have. My email is christopher.ollendorf@humber.ca if you want to contact me via email. But I'll say Blackboard Messenger is the best thing for this course because it helps things stay organized for me. You can always contact me with questions. It's true. I'm here. I will try to respond within 48 hours during business hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Email sent on Friday or the weekend should not expect a response until the following week. It's pretty standard. And note that it is program policy that instructors cannot be contacted by social media, nor connect with students on social media. All right, no DMs. And at the end of all of this, there's a course review quiz, okay? This is due September 13th, 11 p.m. You must get 100% on this course review quiz to open up assignment submissions in the course. If you scroll down, or if I scroll down, you can't really see all this right now. You'll say here, stage 1, propose and plan, weeks 1 through 3. Release conditions. The release conditions are that you have to get 100% on your review quiz to even open up to work on stage 1 right now, okay? So this is the first thing for you to complete. It's 16 questions, okay? And it's just about things I talked about in this video, things you can find in the course reference page, right? This is a way to keep you accountable, to know that you went through all this information. I know it's a lot of information, but to know you went through all the information to ensure that you are prepared for the class moving ahead. All right? And most important thing about this quiz is we will see question 16. How many minions does it take to screw in a light bulb? Oh my gosh, I'm showing you all the correct answers. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to black that out or something. Okay. All right. All that to say, how many minions does it take to screw in a light bulb? Okay. Does it take 1? Does it take 2? Does it take 3? It takes banana. Okay. That's the answer to that question. That proves you made it to this point. I have a timer going. What are we talking about? How long has it been? This is a half-hour video. All right. Thank you. And good night.